Welcome back, all. Thanks for joining. And we'll be now moving on to the next session. The session is on the topic equity free funding for the startups. The panel members for the session are Mr. Umesh IAS, Executive Director, KSIDC, Ms. Kritika Narula, Invest India, Mr. Ranjith Kumar, General Manager, Kerala Financial Corporation. And our session moderator is Mr. Robin, Venture Partner of Unicorn India Ventures. I would like now to invite Robin to lead the session.
Thank you, Rasik. I hope I am audible.
Yes, very well.
All right. Hello, all. Good afternoon. Hello, all the panel members. So yeah, let's get started with the business. We have an eminent panel here representing the Kerala government departments who are part of the startup initiative, as well as a representative from Startup India. So we have good resources to ask about various questions ranging from the national policies to the state policies and the funding related things. First of all, let me go to Umesh IAS. I'm not sure how many of you know him, but let me just introduce him by saying that he's one of the superheroes of last year's flood. So he did a very amazing job in getting things up and running in Wayanad district, which was the most worst affected district in Kerala at that point in time. So I'm honored to be a moderator of this session where he's part of. Thank you, Umesh, for joining. So let me start with you first, Umesh. Umesh, you're there, right? Oh, we lost him.
I think there's a problem with the connection. I'll call him and reconnect.
All right. Then probably we'll start with
Sure.
the next person from Kerala, Ranjith. Ranjith, KFC has been part of this startup initiatives for many years now, right? So you have seed funded a lot of the startups in Kerala. Just take us through the journey. Just take us through what your experience with startup is and how things are panning out at this point with respect to KFC.
See, as far as KFC is concerned, our experience with startups have been generally good. And earlier, we didn't have any separate exclusive scheme for startups. But later on, in 2017-18 financial year, we formulated two new schemes for exclusively for startups. So one scheme is for financing purchase order against purchase order. Second one is for firms which have
that's bill discounting, right?
Yeah, bill discounting. Then and I'll just brief about the scheme. Is the time available for briefing about the scheme?
Yeah.
Just
let's go ahead with that. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, since our experience was good earlier, so we thought of formulating separate schemes for startups. And the most important scheme which we feel is that bill discounting scheme for against purchase orders. So for that, the major criteria is the startup should have a firm purchase order from a reputed organization. Here, the scheme provides an upper limit of 100 crore, which will be sanctioned as a credit limit, not as a single-time loan. It will be a credit limit wherein the borrower can utilize this credit limit against multiple purchase orders, and this will be the applicant will be screened by a screening committee, which consists of nominee of CEO Kerala Startup Mission and KFC officials. And other subject experts will also be part of the committee. And one more thing we have done is, earlier it was linked to our internal credit rating, wherein startups generally find it hard to get the best rating. So recently our corporation has reduced the rates, and we have made the rate equal to base rate plus 1%, which at present is 10% per annum. So the scheme has become more attractive, is what we feel.
All right.
Yeah, and we are formulating other schemes also. I'll come to that later.
Okay. Umesh, I was telling the audience about your Wayanad activities while giving an intro.
Is it great?
Yeah. Welcome, Umesh. It's very honorable to have you here. So, Umesh, now you are in a new role, heading the KSIDC startup initiatives. Take us through some of the initiatives that you are doing for startups in Kerala. Yes. I understand that your KSIDC has been in this game for many years now. You also have an incubator of your own.
Yeah.
Yes. Just take us through the journey of KSIDC regarding its startup initiatives.
So KSIDC was started in 1961.
Not audible. I'm not sure whether it's just for me.
No, we can hear. I can.
Are you audible? Am I audible?
Oh. Yeah, we can hear. So Robin, you can refresh.
Yeah, so KSIDC was started in 1961 with the focus of promoting industries in the state of Kerala. But it was in 2014. It was in 2014 or 15 when we came up with this initiative to support startups. We do it in three ways. Right now we are doing seed funding. Seed funding is number one. And number two is the incubator. And we also do mentoring of startups. So in the past 6 years, we have handheld and promoted 109 startups with an investment of around 22 crores. In addition to that, we also have our incubation centers in Cyber Park Calicut and Info Park Kochi. Info Park, we have more than 124 slots, and Cyber Park, we have more than 82 slots. So the aim is that right from the initiation, the ideation stage, to handholding till there is growth. We call it the Innovation Acceleration Scheme, where right from the ideas generation to its logical conclusion as a project and its growth stage. That is what KSIDC is looking at. It has been doing so for the past 6 years.
All right. I missed some of your points probably because I went off here. How many startups you have right now in your portfolio?
Right now, so far, since 2015, we have promoted 109 startups, 109, with an investment of around rupees 22 crores sanctioned capital.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Umesh. So Kritika, coming to you. So we need to understand how things are panning out nationally. Of course, Startup India has been a game changer for startups. Startups have become mainstream after the initiatives by Government of India with respect to Startup India program. Take us through how the initiatives of Startup India, how you are supporting the startups. What are the activities that you are doing nationally, and are you doing any state-specific activities as well? Just guide us through that, please.
Is it audible, Robin?
No, it's not audible for me.
Kritika, it's not audible. You can.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. You're audible now.
Yeah. A very good afternoon to all of you. Hope all of you are doing fine. And as we know, the government has taken a lot of initiatives in the recent past and is continuing to take more initiatives to tackle the COVID-19 scenario. We have already seen a lot of regulatory changes coming up every day to tackle the regulatory burden on companies, whether it is startup or MSME. One of the great initiatives that I have seen is by Ministry of Corporate Affairs, where they have launched a scheme called Companies Fresh Start Scheme and LLP Settlement Scheme, where they are providing a one-time opportunity to all the companies to make good any filing related defaults, irrespective of duration of default, without any additional payment of fees or any prosecution to be launched. I think it's a great initiative by MCA, and this helps companies and LLPs to make themselves investment ready, because what I believe is all the investors, whether it is PE, angel funds, are very particular about corporate governance or corporate hygiene a company or a startup maintain. So this is a one-time opportunity to rectify all their past defaults.
Okay.
Along with
Let me just jump in. Is there any timeline associated with it? Like within what time the startups need to apply?
yeah, so there is a timeline associated with it. It was effective from April 1, 2020, and the scheme will continue till September 30th, 2020. Along with this, we have also seen a lot of tax related announcements, deferment in tax related filings, moratorium in payment of loans, EMIs, etc. So, several initiatives have been already announced by the government, and few more are in pipeline. We are constantly working with the ministries and external stakeholders to ease the regulatory environment. Having said that, government has also launched several economic packages, and particularly talking about startups, SIDBI has launched three funding and financing related schemes which will help startups tackle COVID-19 scenario. So talking about these schemes, one of the schemes that SIDBI has launched is called COVID-19 Startup Assistance Scheme, which aims to aid innovative startups that have demonstrated ability to adapt to economic impact. Under this scheme, SIDBI is providing a loan up to rupees 2 crores, and they're ensuring that the loan is disbursed within 45 to 90 days, is disbursed for next 45 to 90 days on a fast track basis. Along with this scheme, SIDBI has also launched a SAFE scheme, which means that they are providing collateral free loan within 48 hours to the MSMEs at a concessional interest rate. And the interest rate that they are charging is 5%. So, this is also another avenue where startups can go and seek for loan and meet their working capital requirements. Specifically focusing on the healthcare sector, SIDBI has launched a Make in India soft loan fund scheme for MSMEs, where they are financing the healthcare sector, including hospital, clinics, etc. So people who are involved in healthcare facilities related to COVID-19. So these are the three active schemes launched by SIDBI to support startups and MSMEs to fight COVID-19 scenario.
Thank you, Kritika. That was a very elaborate explanation of things that you are doing at national level. Uh, uh, Coming back to Ranjith, so yeah, you provide a debt collateral free and things like that, right? What has been your experience with startups with respect to loan repayment? I mean, how successful are the portfolio startups of KFC?
KFC, earlier we had lent to startups in among other MSMEs. We didn't have separate scheme for startups. But earlier we had a KSCDM scheme wherein the interest portion was funded by government of Kerala. During that period, many small startups were financed by KFC, and our experience has been good. Since we don't have separate NPA figures for startups, but our overall net NPA is less than 2%. So, based on our experience, we have formulated these new schemes, and the specialty of main specialty of the new schemes are that there are no collateral required for the loans. Government of Kerala will be guaranteeing the loans, and only the primary assets, which are created out of the loan, have to be charged, have to be either hypothecated or mortgaged to corporation. No other collateral security or personal guarantee is stipulated.
Okay.
We are thinking of giving a boost to our new schemes by marketing the schemes more effectively this financial year.
All right. Umesh, what I understand is KSIDC has a rigorous process to choose their startups, the portfolio startups. Can you guide us through the process that's involved? Suppose if I'm a startup and I'm coming with an application to KSIDC, what is the journey I have to go through?
Is
Not
it audible?
No.
Yeah, Umesh, you are not audible, I think.
No, sir.
You were still not
Your
audible.
microphone is turned off. No, you have to turn on the microphone on the top of the screen.
Can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
So what I was telling is that the startup can apply online at KSIDC's website with a proper business plan. And there are two steps involved. We have an in-house committee and a subcommittee. The subcommittee, in-house committee comprises KSIDC higher officials. Now, is it audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Hello? Yeah. So the second process is where the KSIDC MD and two external experts sit and analyze the different business proposals and approve. The approved amount can be up to 25 lakhs or 90% of the value of the project, whichever is lower. So we have followed this procedure, this criteria to sanction more than 109 startups. And we look for the criteria are predominantly two, like in any startup, we look for sound technological innovation. Innovation, that is one thing, and the revenue prospect, the revenue potential of the project. We have always handheld good scientifically and technologically innovative projects. Many of the startups which KSIDC has promoted have won awards in different investor summits and different award functions. Yeah.
Cool. This is a one-time process, right? So you mentioned that there is
yes.
Startups can avail up to 25 crores, right?
25 lakhs. 25
lakhs. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Kritika, as you know, this is a tough time. The entire world has been reset, right, for the last couple of months, and these are challenging times, not just for startups and it's true for government as well. So I want to understand how or what are the thought process government is following regarding supporting startups to sail through these tough times. The reality is that many startups have to go through activities like job cards, pay cards, and things like that, right? So what exactly are there any specific advices that you have for the startups from a government of India perspective?
Yeah, definitely. So, as we all know that global macroeconomic outlook for the current financial year has adversely affected by COVID-19 and the spread of COVID-19 in India and its mitigation plan of 40 days nationwide lockdown, which may further be extended soon. Let's see what the state governments have to say about it. The possibility, there's likely to be a significant impact on various sectors, including startups. So, the one piece of advice that I would want to give startups is that be very thoughtful and decisive at this point of time. It's not a wait and see in a month or a two exercise. You need to revisit your plans in every 15 days, taking care of what are the new initiatives by the governments, how you need to restructure yourself, plan your activities, and align it with the government initiatives which they are announcing from time to time. So it's a time to be very thoughtful and decisive, I believe, and it's time to focus on extending the cash runway. For example, if a company has a cash runway for 18 to 24 months, or maybe 12 to 24 months, it is important for them to analyze the cost and the cash associated with their businesses and realign it so that they can make the runway for a course of at least next 6 to 8 additional months to what they have planned. So yes, they need to revisit their finances, their fixed costs, their working capital requirements, and I would suggest that they should constantly revisit all of these parameters and take cognizance of all the government initiatives that have been launched from time to time. Otherwise, a lot of companies and startups may skip a lot of things.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, that's very similar to the advice VCs are also giving to their portfolio startups
Right.
to increase the runway. Yeah.
Right.
All right. So Ranjit, I would like to know what are the support activities that you provide to startups apart from funding. Suppose you have selected a startup for funding. Apart from the money, what are the other things that you provide in terms of training, in terms of knowledge sharing? Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Hello, I am unable to hear. Hello.
Ranjit, you are not audible. I'm not sure whether it's just for me.
Hello.
Yeah, he is audible, but he cannot hear.
Yeah, now I can hear you, but I
Is
could
it
hear
just for me that
Kritika
Ranjit is not audible?
speaking, but I could not hear what Robin is saying now.
Could you please refresh that page?
Yeah, one second. Yes.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah. So, what's the question to me or?
Yeah, the question was to you regarding what kind of support you provide to your portfolio startups apart from funding.
Apart from funding, we mainly we are as of now we are limiting ourselves to funding, and actually we are on the learning curve since we are a small organization with limited number of staff. We were earlier circumspect in financing startups, but now we have, with the help of screening committee, that part is taken care of. The screening committee consists of subject experts and all, so that part is taken care of. And as of now, KFC has limited to ourselves to funding startups only, and We are expecting, as announced by Dr. Thomas Isaac, Sir, Honorable Finance Minister in the last budget, 2 new schemes have been announced for startups. So one purchase order discounting scheme for up to 10 crore with a promoter's contribution of 10% and then rate of interest of 10%. And another for funding startups up to 1 crore, wherein their product is as per the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. So we are expecting both the schemes to be formulated, and we are looking forward to finalizing those schemes also.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ranjith. Umesh, there is one
Yes.
question that I wanted to raise with you, especially regarding the KSIDC scheme. Is it still a convertible debt vehicle?
See, the thing is that the ultimate discussions aim itself is to have equity-free startup funding. And so I would like to reiterate to all those who are listening that our norms does talk about converting this soft loan into equity after 1 year. But of all the 109 startups, we have converted into equity for only one. For all others, we have maintained as soft loans only. So maybe as part of this post-corona situation, we will amend the norms itself properly, so that we are discussing that already with industries, Principal Secretary Industries, Ilongovan sir, KSIDC MD Harikishore sir. We were having discussions about this. So for startups, it will remain as soft loans, repayable, and in the specific specific condition of this post-corona situation, we will consider extending the repayable the time for this repayment also. It's not an issue. I totally understand the concern, but we will amend the norms. We are working on it.
All right. So thank you, Umesh, for that. That will be very much reassuring for startups.
So in practice, we have been we have not been taking equity, but we will amend the norms so that whoever visits our website or whoever reads our norms are not discouraged by this. We will do that.
Understood.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Umesh, for that clarification. Kritika, there's one question that I have for you. This is regarding hardware startups. See, one of the problems that hardware startups face is that their capital requirement is much higher than other startups, and also the mistakes are very costly. So I myself run a software venture. So if I make a mistake, I just change the code, push the code, and it starts working. But in case of hardware startup, that's not the case. If there's a mistake in the product, they have to invest a lot more capital, right? So it's a very capital intensive thing. So especially in a scenario where India is trying to compete with China in hardware, are there any specific plans that Startup India has devised, or are they planning something to support hardware startups to actually compete with Chinese counterparts?
So what we have seen from recent initiatives by the government is that they are really trying hard to compete with China and attracting various countries to set up their shops in India. Whether it is hardware or software, they're trying to build a whole network in India so that more and more countries can come, invest, and set up their shops. So yes, government has launched a couple of policies and schemes. One great initiative that we saw from RBI was the revision in the FDI policy, where they had made the investments from land sharing borders under government approval route. And by land sharing borders, I mean China is one country where now investment will be routed through government approval. It is no longer under a direct route, automatic route. So this is one major initiative taken by the government to make India investment ready. Also, some of the ministries have also taken initiatives like Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, where to make So they have come up with three set of initiatives to attract investment by firms shifting base from China, and they have set up a board to facilitate investment in renewable energy sector. Also, they have reduced their repayment charges to 2% for enhancing the fund availability for new projects. And further, IREDA has brought a new scheme for project specific funding to promote renewable energy manufacturing in India. So yes, we are seeing that on everyday basis, some of the ministries are coming up with new initiatives. The first move was definitely done by Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. I believe a lot of other ministries are also under discussion to launch plans, and we'll see some great measures at how India will attract more investment and make India an investment ready hub, whether it is a manufacturing sector or a software sector, and to support the different type of capital requirements. In line with this, I would also like to mention uh, India has recently signed a $1.5 billion loan with Asian Development Bank, the ADB, uh, to meet the COVID-19 immediate priorities. With this, we have also seen in the press release launched by the Government of India that they are also in discussion with ADP now to particularly support MSMEs by facilitating their access to finance through credit guarantee schemes and other schemes. So, what we can anticipate from such press releases and ventures with overseas banks and governments is that definitely India is trying to get more investments and money in India and make it investment ready.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Kritika, for that answer. I think Kritika has explained how Government of India is planning the post-COVID activities. I think it's time for Ranjith and Umesh also to explain about the same. Let's start with Ranjith. Ranjith, so what exactly is KFC planning with respect to post-COVID scenario?
Actually, as a first step, we have announced three separate schemes for in view of the COVID-19 pandemic. And the first scheme is for units engaged in production of items which is used to fight COVID. For example, manufacturing PPEs, gloves, ventilators, body suits, shoes, etc., sanitizers, which may be used in fighting COVID-19 pandemic. We have announced a separate scheme, and with a rate of interest at base rate, that is 9% at present, and where the security will be only the primary asset. No collateral will be stipulated, and they will get a maximum of 5 years for repayment. Maximum loan available will be 5 crore. This will be useful for startups as well as other MSME units. Only thing is they should have a confirmed work order. So for manufacturing any of the products used for fighting COVID. And for other firms, for our customers, we are giving similar loans since because of the lockdown, many of them are finding it difficult to maintain that liquidity position. So we are giving them soft loans limited to 20% of the loans already available by them without any additional security, based on the security already available with us. And for customers who are not dealing with us till now, they will also be considered for working capital term loans to a maximum of 50 lakhs based on their prime security. If the prime security does not cover the amount of loan, only then for that part we will stipulate a collateral security. So three new schemes we have already launched, and we have already received enquiries from various entities, and we are processing those enquiries now. And since this is an emerging situation, we are thinking of introducing or modifying our schemes so that it will be helpful for all the entrepreneurs in Kerala.
Thank you, Ranjith. Umesh, same question to you. What's KSIDC's
So,
post-COVID?
So this I would like to answer not only in my capacity as KSIDC Executive Director. I'm also in the Industries Department as Deputy Secretary in the Secretariat. So for the past 3 weeks, we have been working on a very comprehensive package for industries, MSMEs, startups, all included a very comprehensive package called Bhadrada. The details I'm not dwelling into because we will approve the package. The minister will be approving the package in the coming 2 or 3 days. A formal announcement will be coming from the Chief Minister himself. But what the overall guidelines which are directing this policy is that the moratorium of interest, be it moratorium of interest, or we have KSIDC has different infrastructure parks, industry growth centers. So there we freeze the land premium and we'll have a new land premium payment policy. For example, if there are new investors, the upfront lease premium will be just 20%. It will not be what it is, it will not be 50% as it is now. And the balance can be paid over a period of 5 years and not 2 years as it is now. And waiving of the SDF rental for 3 months, waiving of the common facility charges in KSIDC parks for 3 months. And as far as startups are concerned, we are doing something called not just seed funding, scale-up funding. Scale-up funding as in whoever have been given seed funding in the past 1 year, we will be choosing the ones which are at a growth stage and we will give extra, say amount up to 50 lakhs. We are working on it. Up to 50 lakhs we will be giving as part of our innovation acceleration program. And I'm seeing some queries related to waiver of interest. Right now, we have declared moratorium of interest for 3 months. And I have already clarified about the equity part. The norms will be changed, I can assure you. And even now, we are not being very strict on the equity part so far. So what I want to say is that this COVID crisis, I was just reading Raghuram Rajan the other day. He was mentioning that this is the biggest economic crisis India has faced since independence. Even if you take the 2008 financial crisis, our public finances were good. People were still working. This is the first time where people are not even working. Even our public finances are very bad. So to bounce back from that, only a very strong stimulus will help. And the government of India and the government of Kerala, as part of government of Kerala, I can assure to whoever is listening to this that we are working on a very, very comprehensive package because the world is getting protectionist. As you can see how the leaders of different countries are talking, the world is getting highly protectionist. In such a protectionist economy, when the reverse of globalization is happening, in a very ironic way, this is the best time to invest in India, for the Indian entrepreneurs to bloom. So for that, the government will be there as a handholder, will be there to support. And as far as government of Kerala is concerned, as far as the industries department is concerned, I'm very sure that a very comprehensive package will be coming up in the coming 1 week itself. That is one thing. And there'll be a website where any new investor or an existing investor or an industrial MSME can apply for that package and avail the benefits. We are working on that right now. As I told you, I'm not telling this just from the perspective of KSIDC, from the perspective of Industries Department itself.
All right. I think I'm done with questions. Now it's time to answer some of the queries that has come in the chat window.
Yes.
Rasik, that's the way to go, right? I mean, we pick up the questions from the chat window, right?
Yes.
All right.
There will be a Q mark into the name to identify the questions.
Come again?
There will be a Q mark. A red Q mark will be there in addition to that question. To identify, I mean, there are chats and questions listed.
The Q mark. Okay. So those are the questions that needs an answer.
Yeah. So I can answer this. There is a question directly addressed to me. Dear Umesh sir, process in KSIDC is time consuming. There are hurdles in the complete chain of raising funds. Any changes or focus with the new invest cell? There is a question. So I can answer that.
Sure.
Yeah. So for I was appointed actually just 2 months back. I was appointed in KSIDC to head this investment cell only. So we are in the process of setting up an investment cell, which will be a single point contact for any investor in the state of Kerala. We were recruiting people for it, and we had planned the inauguration of it by March 16. But Corona had other plans, so we are yet to do it. So this will be a single point contact for any investor in the state. We are also, KSIDC is also setting up a toll-free line for any investor to call and clarify their queries. So this toll-free line, the single point invest cell, and one more thing which KSIDC has done for Government of Kerala is setting up this K-Swift, a single window clearance process for businesses. So that also, for new businesses now we have done. For existing businesses also, we are developing it. So these are things which should have gone live in April, but due to this Corona lockdown and everything, it has been delayed. Maybe in May itself, we will be able to do it. And if there are any hurdles in the process of getting the funds, it must be a matter of the people manning the system. We will refine it. We will do better, I'm sure.
All right. So there is a question for KFC and KSIDC, whether you support service sector startups. I think the question is whether your focus is mainly on product startups, or do you support service sector startups? Who wants to? Yeah, Ranjith, go ahead.
Yeah. See, as far as KFC is concerned, the specific schemes for startups are for IT, software, hardware, and biotech products. And there is another scheme for budding, means new startups, wherein the maximum limit is only 10 lakhs. There is no such bar. But right now, as I said earlier, we are thinking of introducing new schemes, as we understand that we are covering only IT, hardware, software, and biotech in our existing products. We will be introducing new schemes. Any suggestions regarding that is welcome. We are in the process only, and we are there is a committee, and we are discussing new schemes. We are yet to finalize. We will be finalizing it soon. New scheme.
Umesh, same question for you.
Yeah. So right now we are focusing on health services, agriculture, web and application, e-commerce platforms, engineering, financial services, advertising, educational services, HR, biotechnology, and all. There's one more question which was talking about hardware startups. We'll consider it. As of now, we have restricted our startup financing to these domains, which are again available in our. I'm just spelling out the website again, www. Because some people have asked for it. www.ksidc.org. The online application for any seed funding proposal is available there. But I saw a message that there is no proper response to the online applications. So that's a good feedback. We'll work on it. Thank you.
Okay. Same for Startup India. Kritika, is there any restriction for other, non-tech startups, non-product startups? Oh, you are not audible.
Yeah. So it completely depends upon scheme to scheme, whether it has been launched by SIDBI or.
Is it just me, or
can you hear me?
Robin, it's audible to me.
Okay. Okay, then I need to refresh. Yeah.
Okay. You can continue, Kritika.
Yeah.
Please continue, Kritika.
So the scheme will it'll depend upon scheme to scheme whether the scheme has been launched for a particular sector. So you'll have to check the eligibility criteria and conditions laid down in different schemes. As I have mentioned earlier also, SIDBI has come up with 3 schemes. There was another fund called ACT Grant Fund launched by prominent stakeholders. It's a fund, it's a 100 crore fund which have exclusively designed to battle the COVID-19 scenario, where they're funding startups. So yeah, all these schemes, grant schemes, funding schemes will depend upon eligibility criteria of each scheme. And yes, you'll have to check specific schemes to know more about the sectors and areas where they are working in.
Yeah, I just got back. Okay, Ranjit, people are asking for KFC website URL as well for applying. Ranjit, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. I think it's not audible to Ranjit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ranjit, somebody's asking for the.
No, hello, no. Hello, first.
You're audible, please. I think it's.
Oh, okay. So there is actually a complaint coming up. Why don't you support non-tech startups? We have beautiful products in line, which goes well with Tech Fusion. Yeah. So I think that's for KSIDC and KSC.
We are KSIDC is more than willing to support any startup with the right innovation and revenue potential. We are open to
Okay.
it. Yeah, sure.
All right.
And as far as KFC is concerned, we have been financing non-tech startups under our normal scheme. So we are more than ready to support non-tech startups also.
All right. So people are asking for your official email ID as well. I think it's available in the KSIDC site, right, Umesh?
Yeah. Anyway, I sent also, not an issue.
Oh,
Since
okay.
I'll send it.
So again for KSIDC and SIDBI probably mean you, Kritika. So it's somebody's asking whether KSIDC and SIDBI are interested in financing PPP projects.
PPP?
Yeah, PPP.
Yeah. So yeah, SIDBI schemes have one of the schemes that SIDBI has launched is exclusively for the healthcare startups, MSMEs, where people are working exclusively on healthline products. So yes, it is definitely covered under SIDBI scheme.
PPP, public-private partnership.
Oh, I sorry, I misunderstood as PPE.
Oh, okay.
Well, that I think SIDBI would be the right official to answer this question, but I'll definitely pass the suggestion to them.
Okay.
So right now, KSIDC is not funding PPP projects, but we'll get back. We'll study it. As far as PPEs, we are more than welcome to fund PPE.
Need of the.
Yes, most definitely. And one question someone has asked is whether the Kerala single window license clearing system is on. It is indeed on, and I'm sending the link here. Yeah.
Okay.
So the single window clearance kswift.kerala.gov.in.
KSwift.
Yeah, it's a single window platform for fast and transparent clearance of your project. All departments previously, to get a clearance of a project, you had to run and go behind so many offices, be it fire and rescue, revenue, municipality, panchayat, pollution control board. But now all of the websites, all of their online services are available in a single platform called KSwift. Swift stands for single window interface for fast and transparent clearance. I have sent the link here.
Got it.
Yeah.
So I think there is a question for Kerala Startup Mission as well. Rasik, will you be interested in taking it?
Yeah.
So basically, they are asking regarding the idea stage funding.
Okay. What was the question? I can.
Let me just. So yeah, they are asking whether you provide funding for idea stage. I think that's something Kerala Startup Mission can answer, right?
Yeah. Idea stage fundings are there. We have a scheme called innovation grants. Those are provided in three stages, like idea stage, productization stage, and for the scale up stage. These three stages, the startups on these three stages can apply for grants. So basically, there will be a window, calendar window there. As and when it gets open, the startups can apply for these grants. For the idea grants, you don't need to be a registered entity. Even an individual can apply for the grant. And later on, as the stage progresses, you can make it into a legal entity and then apply for the later grants. It is like starting from 2 lakhs on up to 12 lakhs on various stages.
Okay. Kritika, there is a question for you. This is regarding the MSME scheme for healthcare startups. They're asking what's the name of that scheme.
Okay, so there are three different schemes. I'll name out all these three schemes so that none of you miss out on the scheme. The one is COVID-19 Startup Assistance Scheme. The other is SIDBI Assistance to Facilitate Emergency Response Against COVID-19. It is also called the SAFE Scheme. And the third scheme that SIDBI has launched is called the SMILE Scheme, SIDBI Make in India Soft Loan Fund for Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises.
Okay. And another question is again for KSIDC and KFC. They want to understand the timeline. If they apply today, when can they expect the money in the bank? Or Ranjith? Yeah. Go ahead, Ranjith.
Okay, as far as KFC is concerned, our timeline is within 30 days. And within 15 days of inquiry, you are supposed to know whether your inquiry can be converted to an application within 15 days. And after that, another 15 days, if all the required papers are ready, another 15 days, the proposal should be disposed of. Either it should be sanctioned or whatever it is, it should be presented to the whatever committee under which the delegation comes. So maximum 30 days.
What about KSIDC, Umesh?
So the same here. From the time of application, 30 days. This includes the internal committee and the subcommittee. We're talking about a time period of 30 days. But it has gone to, when I was studying this, it has gone to 40 to 45 days. We will ensure that it is dispersed within 30 to 35 days.
All right. Ranjit, there is another question for you. So there is a startup which has taken a loan of 10 lakhs and paid it back fully to KFC. Yeah. So they are asking if they can apply for a larger fund from KFC.
Yeah, sure. Actually, any funding.
They already have a relationship with you.
Yeah, any funding agency wherein a borrower who had taken a loan and has repaid it promptly would be right in front of the priority queue. So we'll be more than happy to fund you. Okay. That proposal, I didn't see the question. I'll reply to him in chat also.
Okay. Yeah, it's a question by a person named Jairaj.
Okay, you can contact me. My email ID I have given in the chat window. You can contact me directly. I'll ask the concerned branch manager to contact him directly.
Okay. And there is one more question for Umesh and Ranjit. This is regarding how can NRIs apply for this? If they need to do a startup, how can they interact with you? Basically, the question probably is about the person is not physically available in Kerala.
Yeah. See, as far as KFC is concerned, Norca Business Facilitation Center is in regular contact with us. So NRIs can contact them. They once in a week they used to come to us with proposals, and we used to forward it to the branch or zonal office concerned. So that is one way, or you can directly contact us, KFC, through the emails available in the website.
So they don't
Yep.
need to be physically available at your place.
Not in the beginning. For inquiries.
So
what about
we don't limit ideas geographically. So startups are not limited geographically in terms of whether they are available inside India or outside India. They can apply and we'll get back case on a case by case. Not an issue at all.
Okay.
So there are some specific.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there are some specific queries coming that I have this business proposal. What can KSIDC do? If they can give the details as a mail also, that would be wonderful. To my mail ID. Whoever is typing one paragraph items about your business proposals, if you have the detailed proposal with you, do mail it to us with details. We'll get back. I have already shared my mail ID.
Okay. Kritika, there is one complaint for you. This startup had contacted SIDBI, but is waiting for a response since last 3 weeks.
I believe SIDBI is the most fastest organization in terms of response. I'm
so
sure.
Probably this COVID thing could
It's
be a reason
not
for that.
No, COVID is definitely not a reason in hampering. Is not hampering the response. In fact, they are working more during this scenario so that they can pick up more opportunities. It is a possibility that they may have skipped one of the emails or a proposal, but I would request you to please write it back to them. They are working 24/7 to my understanding, and yeah, they should not have missed it.
Okay. And there is another question, probably for it's directed at Ranjith and Umesh, but I would direct it to all three of you. This is regarding women entrepreneurship. So, what is are there any specific schemes for women entrepreneurship that your organizations are doing? So, probably you can start, Kritika. You can take that question first.
Yeah, there are certain specific women entrepreneurship schemes that Startup India is associated with, specifically during the COVID-19 scenario also. Prime Minister has also launched economic package dedicated for women, whether it is a self-help group or low-income generating women group. But yes, there are definitely schemes for women entrepreneurship. I can share the link with you where you can find all the schemes for women-related entrepreneurship.
Okay. Umesh?
Yeah, as far as KSIDC is concerned, since 2015, we have this scheme called V Mission, V standing for Women Entrepreneurship. And we have different, a 5-pronged strategy for related to this, women entrepreneurs. The first is the funding support, where we prioritize first generation eligible women entrepreneurs. For scaling up of the activities, we provide funding. That is one. Second is Meet Your Mentor, where we conduct mentoring sessions or meetings for women entrepreneurs to provide them with guidance and support for their capacity building and leadership abilities. And we conduct regular exposure visits to women entrepreneurs to enable the aspiring women entrepreneurs to learn the working methods and all. And we also have this incubation and infrastructure support. As I already mentioned, we have 2 incubation centers. There we provide first preference and priority to women entrepreneurs. And we also, in the past 3 years, we have arranged participation of women entrepreneurs in national and international trade fairs. Even recently concluded Kerala's Investment Summit Ascend 2020, KSIDC ensured enough participation of women entrepreneurs based in Kerala.
Okay. Ranjith,
regarding women entrepreneurs, KFC across the schemes, our policy itself specifies that women entrepreneurs can be given additional interest concession relaxation in terms and conditions, etc. So as to encourage women entrepreneurship. So as of now, we don't have a specific scheme, but across the schemes, there will be given interest concessions and other relaxations in other terms and conditions.
Hello.
Was I not audible? Hello.
You're audible. Yeah. All right. So there is one question which I think I know the answer as well. The question is whether a Malayali can apply for this even if the company is registered in Bangalore. Okay. So I think the basic requirement is the company need to be domiciled in Kerala, right?
For KFC, even if a company is registered outside Kerala, we can consider subject to one condition. Suppose they have a regional office inside Kerala, and the project that we are about to fund, or that proposal, that project which we are about to fund from KFC will be controlled by the regional office situated inside the state.
Okay.
So if that is the case, we can consider.
So basically,
Otherwise,
if the entity can ensure job creation in Kerala, then they will consider. Okay.
Yes. Otherwise, we are barred from financing outside the state as per SFA.
What about KSIDC, Umesh?
KSIDC follows this whole thing that, as I told you earlier, geography is not a constraint. But again, KFC was very clear about job creation. So we will take it case by case and see what leverage Kerala and KSIDC can get, and only then we'll go for it. It's negotiable.
Okay. So, Kritika, there is one question. Do you support startups at POC level? So they are not yet into the market. It's more like a proof of concept level. Do you support startups at that level?
Yes, we do support startups at pre-seed level as well. In fact, at Startup India website, we have jotted down a list of investors who support startups at different stages. The list is very handy, which all investors support in a specific sector and basis your stage.
Okay. So there is another question for Umesh.
Yes.
What are the chances of moderate to high risk investments, such as that of agriculture production? Will they qualify for funding?
Right now, for startups, we are doing for agro processing, but right now we are limiting ourselves to agro processing in agriculture. Right now.
Okay. There need to be value addition. It's just not cultivation, right?
Yeah, not cultivation. No.
So one person has asked that they're saying they're looking for viable SIC units above 2 to 5 crores. I'm not sure whether that means they are looking to take up SIC units and take over the SIC units and convert them to profitable businesses. So if there is somebody interested in that kind of things, whom should they approach? What's the process like? Umesh?
Yeah, I think they can write to us. We do not understand. I have not understood the purpose actually. The only purpose can be that they want to take over.
Take over, yes.
Yeah. We'll get back.
Okay. So there is one question to all three. What is the interest rate? I think KFC it's 10%, right?
Yes.
10%. And for KSIDC, what is the interest rate?
No, for startup, it's a soft loan. It's at the bank rate, RBI
okay.
rate. Yeah.
Okay. SIDBI is not doing. Correct me if I'm wrong. SIDBI is doing a fund of funds, right? And they are not in the SIDBI. Is SIDBI directly investing into startups? No, right?
No, not directly. It is investing through fund of funds. But yes, in terms of loans, as I mentioned, they are giving collateral-free loan at an interest rate of 5%. And several
5%.
banks,
Okay.
yes, several banks has also come up with COVID-19 personal loans, where they're offering bank loans at a lower interest rate and with lesser formalities. So you can check with your respective banks to avail this COVID-19 personal loans.
Okay. Rasik, just want to check whether we are on schedule with the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have 10 more minutes, but I think, Kritika, you want to leave? Or?
Yeah, I would have to leave now. I have another meeting
Okay.
lined up. Sorry about that.
All right. Thank you, Kritika, for joining us.
Thank you for
You
having
provided
me.
a lot of insights. I'm sure a lot of this information will be useful to the audience. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, everyone.
We can take questions for 5 more minutes and then wind up.
So there's one question about online education. We don't have specific schemes, but in the post-corona setup, it is naturally e-delivery of these groceries, online education. These are the in things, the things which are going to be the trends in the coming months. For example, tourism will take some time, but things like online education and grocery online delivery of groceries. So for these things, we don't have specific schemes, but these are the ones which we are looking forward to support because these are the ones which have the maximum potential in the post-corona society.
Okay. So there is one question regarding age of entrepreneurs. The question is, any priority for young entrepreneurs, say less than 24? Ranjith, yeah.
For the startup schemes, there is no such age limit, but we have one scheme.
Is there a minimum age limit? Minimum age kind of thing? No.
No, minimum. There is one scheme wherein we give priority to applicants who are between 18 and 35.
Okay.
So, but that funding will be, maximum funding available will be 10 lakhs.
Okay. What about KSIDC? Okay.
We don't have anything specific. No specific age limits. If you can start a business, you can. We'll help. That is what it is. Yeah.
Again, similar question regarding student entrepreneurship. Whether you support student entrepreneurs who are still in college, or do you look for full-time entrepreneurs? So I think that's a question. Whether you encourage student entrepreneurs who are mostly part-time.
See, basically, it's not about the student. I think any idea which can be converted into a viable project. For example, seed funding. As far as seed funding is concerned, what matters is the idea. What matters is a business plan. What matters is a proposal, and that does not take into account whether you are in 5th standard or 10th standard or you have completed your degree. So I think focus is on the idea. There is no such limit. Any priority that no prioritization as such. Maybe the question is whether do you prioritize them. We do not prioritize it. As of now, we prioritize the best ideas. That's what I have to say.
Got it. Yeah, there are some business. I think all those who are sending business proposals may send it directly to
KSIDC and KFC.
Yeah, and KFC. All right. I think Rasik, correct me if I'm wrong. I think we have covered most of the main questions, right?
There's one
Is there anything
question,
that
Robin. There's one question about how can professional service providers such as CA, lawyers,
charter? Yes.
so that can Startup Mission answer this? What are they? What is Startup Mission doing in this? Providing services to startups, these professional service providers. How can they assist?
How can they assist? I mean, we have some empaneled CAs and business consultants to mentor the startups. So if you contact our business development team or our team directly, we will do the needful to connect them with and empanel us in our methods.
Yeah.
Robin, we have covered almost all the questions.
Couldn't hear you properly. Can you please repeat?
I think we have covered almost all the questions. Am I audible, Robin?
Yeah, now you're audible.
Okay.
Please repeat.
I think we have covered almost all the questions.
Okay. All right.
Mm,
I think is it time to wrap up?
Yeah, we can wrap up. I mean, next session is at 4 o'clock.
Thank you, Umesh, for spending this much time. I hope the information that you provided us will be useful to the audience. And looks like you are very approachable. So I expect a lot of mails in your inbox tomorrow.
Yeah, I look forward to that. So thank you, Robin, for this Startup Mission, for this opportunity. The thing is, more than me sharing things, I learned a lot from these comments, and they'll help me, better at my work. Thank you.
Thank you, Ranjith, for participating in this panel discussion. Again, as I said to Umesh, a lot of the information that you shared, it's going to be very useful to the audience. Thanks a lot for your time. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ranjith. Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Startup Mission. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all for the patience. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Robin.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, participants. We'll be now moving on to our next session at 4 o'clock. You can be in the room itself. We'll be going live in 10 minutes time. Please be live. We'll be muting the audio for the time being. Next session will be starting around 4 o'clock. You can stay live here itself. Hello, is it audible?
Yes.
Okay, we will wait for the others. You can try the video as well.
My video is not on.
Okay, fine.
I
No,
think
no,
No, it is not.
my
We
video is
cannot
on,
see
right?
you.
Okay.
You cannot see me.
No.
Oh my God. One
Hello,
second.
sir. How are you?
What?
Shalini here.
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good.
Hi,
I'm
Shalini.
good.
How are you?
I'm good. Sir, actually, we
One
can
second.
hear you, but we cannot see you.
You can see me now?
No. Hello?
You can't see me now? Let me first enable view. Where is video? You can see me now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Hmm?
Yes, you
Now it's turned off.
yeah.
Okay. So I'll turn it on when
Hi.
it gets on.
Okay.
Sure.
No problem. Okay.
So how many participants?
It was around 150 earlier. Actually, we have post after the last session. So it is currently 80. So it will go up. They'll rejoin at 4 o'clock.
Manoj has joined.
Yeah, I think everyone has joined.
Hi, Anil. Hi, Rajesh.
Hey, hi
Hi,
Padmani, how are
Manoj.
you?
Good, yeah, enjoying life. I don't know whether I am. One VC से दूसरा AC यही कर रहा है.
I can. No, I'm not doing much. I'm restricted. I only doing one like what I have to do. Otherwise I stop. बहुत ज़्यादा हो गया अभी overload हो गया मेरे को तो. Manoj, I heard he's doing lot of WebEx. But आपको तो करना भी चाहिए. You have lot to share.
It's 4 o'clock.
Okay.
Hello.
Am I audible now?
Yes, sir. You are audible, but you're not able to see your picture.
Hi, this is Rajesh. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, hi. Audible, yes.
You can turn on the videos as well. Vishesh, your microphone is. Yeah, it's right now.
No, I was just going off, I was finding a way to go on mute when I don't need to speak.
Okay.
Which is the video button in this?
On top of the window and on left side of the microphone. Yes. No, that is. Oh, yeah, correct.
There's a lot of.
So shall we start?
Is everybody connected on video? Because I can't see. Anilji, I can see you. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, hi, Manoj.
So let's start.
Anil, I almost couldn't recognize you on the right.
That's the purpose, na?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
tough time. Tough time. You should always, have different look.
अनिल अब तो सही में वाइज वो पता चल रहा है.
बाबा जी.
अभी तक तो मैंने सोचा था पर अब पता चल रहा है.
Chalo, good.
Professor, your video is not on.
हाँ, I thought कि क्या फायदा?
अरे.
No, it's very good.
Okay.
Okay. Sir, can we begin here?
Yeah.
We have Vishesh coming in, right?
Yeah, Vishesh
is.
Vishesh
Oh, he's
there,
on the call.
the man
Okay,
in
he's.
red.
Vishesh, do you want to turn the video on for a minute, and then once we start, we can, you can choose to not have the video after that.
I'm surprised. I think my video is on, and the rest of them can actually see me.
Vishesh is.
Oh, okay. Probably it's my problem.
No, actually, the turned off video is mine.
Excellent.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll give you give an intro to and invite you to speak. I think the participants.
So, just a quick thing, Razik. So, where are the questions coming in? Where do we see the questions?
On the right side, there is a there is a small panel. There you can select chat on the third top. On the top, from the top, it is third.
Okay. I saw that.
And the questions will be marked as Q on the right side.
All right.
So these are the questions for the last session. So you can, it will be beginning from the top. New question.
And will you be able to access the questions after the session?
Yes.
Okay. Pataji, it is 1.5 hours.
So your voice is, there is a noise on the background when you speak. Register.
Mine, is it?
Yeah. When you speak loudly, there is a noise.
Is it clearer now?
Not better now, yes.
Better, yeah, it's better.
Okay. So our computers don't allow it. We have a firewall against this particular program. So I had to switch on to the iPhone.
Okay.
Yeah, which is fine. So
it's better now.
Yeah, fine. So I'll be careful. I'll speak slower as well.
Yes, correct. So thanks participants for joining back. So the next session is on the topic adapting to a post-COVID world. So I welcome all the panelists for this session, and I would like to invite Mr. Rajesh Nayak, Associate Partner Markets, Ernst & Young, to lead the session. So please.
Good afternoon, in fact, good evening to all of you. Thanks for joining back after the earlier session. We have a very interesting panel up here, and this part of the conversation we will largely focus on funds and what they are looking at in these conditions, and is there anything new that they are looking at potential investments for? How are they helping the existing companies that they have already invested in, and are they seeing and any sectors which they are seeing exciting, and of course something for the entrepreneur to take away. So we have Anil Joshi. Anil is the gentleman with the beard. You have to take that. There is Vishesh. There is as well. A lot of you have seen Padmaja. She's, when we started hearing this phrase angel investing, probably Padmaja was the first angel that we saw outside the Bible and outside details. So this is Padmaja for you. What we'll do during this session is all the speakers will speak for around 10 minutes, and then we will sort of quickly summarize, and then we will open it up for questions. My suggestion is, when you post your questions, if you can also put your email ID out there, so that in case your question is not picked up, we will try to answer it and send you a mail on the. Um, I'll start with Anilji out here. Anilji, all yours.
Thanks, Rajesh. Good evening, all. The So, Rajesh, we have to follow any particular format, or you just want me to introduce and hand it over to next speaker?
Anilji.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi, Anilji, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I think the connection has got no problem. I'll tell him to refresh.
Okay. Patrick, can you hear us?
No, we can all hear. I mean, can you hear Anilji's voice?
Oh, I can't hear Anilji's voice, so probably it's at my end.
Okay, you can.
Anilji, do continue. I will
So,
reconnect.
you can hear me, Rajesh?
Yes, it's audible.
Yeah. So, you just want me to give an introduction, or you want me to speak on anything specific?
You can move on to that specifics. I mean, just give a small introduction and then move on to specifics.
Okay. So, thanks and good evening, all. This is Anil Joshi. I am from Unicorn, India. We run an early stage fund based out of Mumbai. We are on third fund. First fund, is 100 crore, and second fund is a UK base. It's a small, fund to invest in cross-border opportunity. So far, we have made 17 investments from Fund 1, of which we have 7-8 investments from Kerala, and rest are spread between Bombay, Bangalore, and Delhi. And the second fund, which third fund in group, we have just launched and have made our first investment, in Kerala. The company is in diagnostic. So we have just started investing from our second fund. Coming to today's topic, considering the uncertainty what we all going through, actually have made us do two things. Of course, there are several things we have to look at, but from fund manager perspective, since we run multiple fund, we have two things. One is the existing portfolio company, where we have to be careful about their existence and continuance. And the second is new investment, which is an easier thing to do in today's time. So fund, as far as fund one is concerned, we are done with all investments, so there's nothing much. But just to share about the existing portfolio, so out of 17 companies, we have taken one exit. We have one company which has folded, and rest all are at different stage of growth. Like anybody else, we do also have reasonable amount of stress on portfolio. And to be honest, we may have one or two casualties as time passes. I think sooner it end probably will be lucky, but if COVID-19 go for a longer period, I'm sure we will have one or two casualties. But the good part is that most of our portfolio company, I think, who were very much aligned to the situation and took proactive actions in lowering their cost, cutting down the expenses, realigning the team, working from home, and also looking for new avenues to do business. Of course, there are some businesses which just cannot happen in presence of lockdown, but there are a few companies who are still in a lot of action during COVID, because incidentally they happen to be supporting essential services across country. So there is both happy and sad situation, but I think what we have told our portfolio companies, that it's time to look for sustaining through this period, and not go for expenses which may not be needed at this stage, right? So all our portfolio company, we had been very categorical on asking them to look at survival without any business for at least 12-15 months, meaning which we can presume that for next 12 to 15 months, if there is zero revenue, how do they still are in existence? So that's the kind of discussion we are having, and that's how companies are preparing. Of course, some of the companies are still in very much in business, like we have one in cyber security, and because of COVID and work from home, they had been be flooded with a lot of inquiries, because some people are working from home, and they need different kind of cyber security support than what otherwise they would need in office setup, right? So there are companies who are actually benefiting. We have one company which is in neo banking, since they provided digital layer. They are also in fact they have seen surge in their offerings. We have one company which is in order processing, so that's also seeing good order booking. At the same time, we also have business which is in a shared economy. So businesses where you need physical movement have got grossly impacted. So that's as far as existing portfolio companies concerned. Happy to share that almost all company would be able to survive next 12 months without any business. So that's a happy thing, and that's what we had been advising all company in our portfolio, and or wherever we get opportunity to share our thoughts with ecosystem, that look for survival than business. And as far as new investment is concerned, we already made one investment. We are actually looking at least 3, 4, 5 uh, uh, you know businesses which are at a different stage of evaluation. And hopefully we will soon announce couple of investments from our fund too, very soon. We have made one investment and in process of concluding couple of more. So that's a brief about how we are supporting our existing companies and our views on new investment. Happy to go along with queries as we move on. Handing over forum to Rajesh. Thank you.
Hi, Padmaja, if you could take it on.
Hi. First of all, thank you to Kerala Startup Mission for putting this together. It's extremely important in these unprecedented times. There is a noise at the back end. It's extremely important in these unprecedented times that we reach out to entrepreneurs who must be so worried and anxious. And I must, of course, doff my hat to all you entrepreneurs out there. It's really tough. And the fact that you are still continuing, you're standing, I think it just says, great guys, keep going. And I think it's tough times. Our heart goes out, but really congratulate to just be standing out there. I'm sure all of you will get through the COVID tunnel, come out tougher, and be able to have a longer runway. So, on that note, we, as Rajesh in some ways did introduce, I am from Indian Angel Network, or IAN. We have an angel investor group where about 500 angels are actively investing across sectors. So they do really invest, engage, and mentor young startups. And we have a fund which is a 375 crore SEBI registered fund, which which is also investing in early stage companies. So I think between the two, we've created the single largest platform for seed and early stage investing. But for entrepreneurs, the opportunity is really to start raising from 25 lakhs and keep raising till they get 50 crores. And that sort of sorts out their need for early stage financing, early stage funding that they need. We invest, we co-invest, and we actually have some of the best multi-investors around the world in India co-investing with you. So it's become really a platform of growth. In terms of our investment, yes, we have invested in Kerala, and we are looking to invest much more. So I really want to make a very blanket statement that as entrepreneurs in Kerala do reach out to us. Unfortunately, we can't fly to you and you can't fly to us. But technology has enabled that. So please do reach out, and we would be very keen to invest more money. We already have companies like Track and Farmers FC, etc. We've invested in and co-invested some of them with Anil's fund. I think from a COVID perspective, there are two. I want to leave two thoughts. One, I think there's a background noise. If somebody could help me sort that. I want to leave two big points that
maybe everyone can mute their mic so Padmaja can speak comfortably and we can hear.
Okay, so I want to leave two big points for the way I think. I think COVID-19 has really hit the startups, and our portfolios were equally hit, I must say. So what we have done, both from our angels as well as from our fund, we've actually rolled up our sleeves all the way and sat with our companies to help them actually handle and maneuver this huge problem that has come on everybody. So we've sat with them to work out their cash flows, expenses. We've questioned every single expense that the company would be doing and said, can you right shift it? Can you move it out if it's not completely essential and imperative to existence? And any monies that were out there that could be brought in, be it receivables, be it advances, to bring that in. So that was one clear thing we did. The second thing, we started working with them that the lockdown has really changed the way we operate and function, which means that a lot of it is online. So we worked with our companies to actually, especially the offline companies, to actually change their models and create and left shift a lot of their online plans. So if we look at companies based like Frataro School of Music, which is an offline music education company, we actually left shifted their entire technology development and brought it online. And in about a week's time, they were on their feet getting back into revenue mode. They haven't got back to what their projections were, but they're nowhere close to zero. So I think those are the things. There is another company where two companies, in fact, which were in the manufacturing and offline space with lockdown, they were locked down. So they turned around and they've started innovating with ventilators for the COVID-19 impact. Another company is doing UV devices for reuse of PPEs. So we helped our companies actually swivel and create products because we realized that the COVID-19 impact was not short term. It was going to be long term, and there would be products required over a much longer time. And now that we are about 6 weeks into lockdown, we are seeing that, we are seeing extension of lockdowns. We are seeing sanitization and all those norms starting to come in. So that's the second piece. So I think what was very imperative for us, that we knew and the companies knew that they would not grow. And we had to accept that, and it was very difficult for founders to accept that. But what we wanted them to do is just stay standing. Please just stay alive. Being alive was the most important factor for us. and our companies, and that's what we were advising them. It did lead to a lot of questions like how do you handle headcount reduction, cost reductions, salary reductions, contract negotiations. I think we worked with a lot of these people, lobbied with the government for various things, brought in TDS refunds, accelerated TDS refunds, brought in the SBI SIDBI. We worked with them to bring in these loan documents. So I think that's how we worked with our portfolio company. However, I think what is very, very important is going forward what? Many of you are entrepreneurs and you must be wondering that, am I going to be able to raise money, or is it going to be like a 12-month hiatus? I think I believe this, and I believe this both in terms of upturn and downturn. Good businesses will raise money. Please understand this. Please, for a very simple reason. The business of investors is to invest and get returns. So they will look for good businesses, they will invest. The point is very important that entrepreneurs need to build very, very solid fundamentals in their business. So top line, bottom line is a given situation now. I think unit economics, customer acquisition costs, these are going to be parameters that we are going to see over and over again. I think cash flows will be primary to P&L and will hold a premium place to P&L and balance sheet. Cash is king. I think that is going to resound in the globe over as we go forward. The other piece that I think which is very, very important for entrepreneurs to also understand that there has been a shift with the lockdown and COVID-19 and all the impact of it. There has been a shift in the way customers think and the way customers are going to behave. Players will change. There will be opportunities will change. And new opportunities emerge. So for entrepreneurs actually who are starting out and who are early stage, I think there's a huge opportunity to quickly swivel and pivot and be nimble and actually cater to these opportunities. Remember the advantage you guys have as startups, large companies don't. Large companies to swivel and actually leverage these opportunities, it's going to take them a hell of a long time. But you guys as startups can actually do it. So take advantage is what my point will be. There will be behavioral shifts in consumers. 100% there will be. But please understand, it is more adaptation to new circumstances. It's not going to be a revolution. So if somebody asks me today, is a luxury item going to be sold ever again? Of course it will be. But only thing, I don't think it will be sold today. I think inventory costs, let's think of a jewelry item. I think jewelers are used to holding inventory. There will be innovation there where jewelry inventory will not be held because that's a huge cash flow, huge capex cost. So virtual, AI, how do you leverage all that and have jewelry got to the consumers? But it's going to take time because that's not a proposition that is an essential today. It's not the need of the hour today. So timing becomes very important in my words. And I think finally, are we investing? Yes, absolutely we are investing. We are topping up our companies. We've made new investments in online space. We've topped up our online marketing automation companies. We've invested in companies that are swiveled. We've brought in the whole ecosystem to help companies like the industry, the academia, and that's a lot of effort and investment that we've put in. We're still investing. We've got about 10 companies we're looking at today at the fund. We have another 15 or 17 which are at a late stage diligence at the angel network. So absolutely, we are in business. The only thing has happened, we moved from office to home. That's about the only change that has happened. We have pitch sessions every week where we have 70 to 80 investors engaged. So we are open, we are hustling. It's a high traction platform. We are in business. I think the last word that I would really like to leave, that investors are going to invest very soon, not as long as you think. Please especially seed and early stage investors. Why? I think They're going to do so because in 2018, 2019 alone in the 2 years, there has been 20 billion of VC money raised for seed early and mid-level companies. You have to deploy that. So it's such an ideal opportunity for entrepreneurs to quickly set up their businesses, garner some angel money, garner some early VC stage money, and actually start preparing and pushing yourselves and growing your companies so that you are a party to that 20 billion. And that money has to be deployed as well. So all I can say, the 4 things that entrepreneurs should probably look at are 4 C's. And 1, cutting costs. Capital efficiency is going to be absolutely important. Second is raise cash. And when I say raise cash, I don't mean you fundraise. I think you have to look at every form of bringing cash into the business. We have brought grants in our companies. There is debt that you can get, advances that you can get. You can plea I'm a startup and get advances to revenues, accelerate your receivables, accelerate different lines of business for revenue. So raise cash for your business. The third is focus on customers. Even if your customers are not giving you business today, please remain engaged with them. In hard times, think of us. When we are going through a tough time and somebody just reaches out and engages with us, and as we get out of the tough time, we are going to go and partner with them. It's human psych. Think about that. Customers themselves are going through problems. Think of ways of solving those problems. So customer engagement is absolutely necessary. And the last but not the least, continuous focus on cost for the next 3-4 years is not going to go away. It is imperative. The next round investors are going to look at these genes of capital efficiency, cost efficiency, customer focus, delivery excellence. All of these things are going to be there. So to me, as an investor who's out there to invest, this is what I'm looking for. There will be sectors which will emerge like cybersecurity. There will be sectors like agri-tech, health tech, biotech. If you look at all the online plays, edutech, all of these will open up. And I think what's going to open up even more is what I call Bharat. Because with all the digitization that is now going to get accelerated, there is going to be a Bharat which is going to be functioning at a different level. So think of opportunities where you can cater to that group of new customers and new market, but at a Bharat price. Thank you, Rajesh. I'll stop there.
Thanks a lot, Padmaja. Vish, if you could pick it up.
Rajesh, I want to make sure you said Vishesh. So is that right? Yeah. Okay, good. I assume I'm audible.
Sorry, I said Vishesh. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, Vishesh, you're audible.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So I think Padmaja and Anil made a fair amount of points, mostly things that we don't think very different. So I'll try and be brief and incremental. As background, I'm one of 2 co-founders of a fund called Special Invest. We're a seed fund that focuses on deep tech. We pretty much do 2 kinds of investments. They're either enterprise software or they're industrial hardware. So if anybody is in these sectors and would like to engage, feel free to reach us. You've got our contacts are available on our website, so you can reach out to us. The current situation that we're in is different from before, and it's very strange quarters for all of us. Like Padmaja said, tremendous respect for all entrepreneurs in our portfolio, outside our portfolio, because the anxiety, the need to be looking at multi-facets of both personal life and business is a lot high. And hence at our firm, we've sort of taken the path of saying, what is it that we can do to sort of help there? In a few cases, we've got, CEO promoter coaches from the West to sort of set up webinars and sessions to spend time with them. In a few cases, we've even got, people on the psychiatry and meditation side, because I think these are things we all need. And I think that's the primary focus. We want to make sure that we can help augment the entrepreneur, stabilize their mind, and think in these complicated situations. Of course, in terms of borrowed advice and learnings that we're getting from all across the world, I think our view is that it's possibly going to take longer than before if we simply apply previous pandemics. You've got a few waves that it's going to come and go within, and you possibly have a slightly longer cycle, maybe a U curve versus a V curve. So our guidance to our fellow entrepreneurs and partners is that it is extremely important to be able to maintain sustenance all the way till 2022. And all of March and April, we've essentially spent to either top up rounds and or control cash flow in a form that allows you to buy yourself that sort of time. It is also a bit early to say that there are obvious leading indicators. Of course, there are broader leading indicators, but we don't know. Just one second, please.
I think he's muted.
No, I mean, this is working out of home. My son came by to speak to me, so
Completely.
I had to find a way to tell him I'm doing something important. He doesn't believe it. Sorry, I think the point I was making was more around saying that one has to find a way to sort of extend runway. We've done a few top-ups, but most of our companies have fortunately had the cash flows. Being largely in the B2B business, their burns are far lower, and hence most of our companies have the money all the way to 2022. In terms of leading indicators, again, there are some obvious leading indicators like healthcare, collaboration, medicine, etc. But our guidance has been to identify one or two variables to these leading indicators and double down when we see light. Our belief is that it's going to be a little more elongated and painful, and hence we just want to make sure that we all buy ourselves a time. I hope that sort of gives you a view on how we're sort of dealing with portfolio. I think specifically there was a question on, are we doing new investments? I think the answer is yes, but I must caveat that I think we're spending a lot more time with portfolio. We're spending a lot more time with companies that we've been engaging in the last 3 to 6 months, and hence the order of importance and preference is in that form. If there are deals in the areas that we're focusing on, which is largely deep tech, hardware tech, and sort of enterprise software, we're definitely engaging.
Thanks. Manoj?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, there's some background noise. I think somebody.
Carry on, Manoj.
Yeah. Hi all. This is Manoj Agarwal from Seed Fund. I think most of you on the audience side and all, we must have interacted at some point. We are an early stage fund, rather a seed stage fund. We invest in technology ventures, and Kerala has been one of our focus states. We have made 4 investments in Kerala. Now, coming to how we are, managing with our portfolios, I think most of the points have been covered by the speakers before me, but still I'll just briefly cover that. Currently, like mentioned by Visesh and Padmaja, what is amazing to me is that the portfolios have shown great resilience. I mean, the founders, the senior management at these startups have taken this in their stride and have adapted to it very well. Whether it comes to work from home, whether it's about managing costs. In fact, before we could tell them, most of them had taken actions on the cost side. Founders have taken salary cuts to the extent of 50%, in some cases 70%, 30%. Similarly, they followed a very ubiquitous, balanced way of, taking their people on board, where the teams have come together and decided to take salary cuts. Now, in terms of impact, we all know, today, whether it's consumer businesses, B2B businesses, or any kind of businesses, 95% of the businesses are impacted. Even digital businesses, which may have seen more usage, have been impacted in terms of revenue. Now, with that situation, one has to take enough steps to manage the cash flow. When this whole scene started, say mid-March, early March, we were thinking of 6 to 12 months. But today the scene is, in fact, I don't know whether we can call it post-COVID. We first have to plan with COVID kind of situation. Because I was just going through a report by Bloomberg, which is talking about that we might be in this situation for the next 18 to 24 months, where there can be, relapses and stuff like that. So keeping that in mind, like Vishesh rightly said, we are talking to our portfolios that you should look at managing your cash flows for 18 to 24 months at the minimum, not 6 to 12 months. So most of them, will be able to manage with their current cash in hand by including cutting costs and stuff like that. But there are a couple who are looking at some kind of interim fundraise from existing investors, which I think is critical today. And most investors are looking at their portfolios and looking at how to support them. We are also, looking at ways to support them. In terms of spending time, yes, we are spending a lot of time, but at the same time, we are not, getting into their area. So the idea is we are spending time where they need us, where they need our help in terms of, advising. And most of our startups, there are multiple investors, so you don't want to, get into a situation where you are taking away a lot of their time. Another thing which Padmaja covered is a lot of them are, trying to develop new tools, whether it is to do with COVID or whether to do with, keeping their consumers engaged in this situation, because today everybody is digital. And for example, there's a portfolio company of ours which works with e-commerce ventures. Now, a lot of e-commerce ventures are in trouble today, but then there are those in essential services like food which are doing well. So they're engaging with such ventures and helping them, with new ways of marketing and reaching out to consumers. Coming to, a couple of questions which Rajesh had shared, whether are we investing, are investors looking at investing? To be frank, I would not say we are not looking at investing, but that's a slow process today because our focus is on current portfolio and, and also to allocate capital to them if required. But at the same time, we are looking at ventures which go with the times, like, some of the ventures today which will be looked at are EdTech, online, like we are looking at a EdTech infra company which provides infrastructure to existing EdTech education ventures to go online, whether it could be, coaching classes, schools or whatever. Similarly, health tech ventures who on the digital health side of things. One of our portfolio companies have quickly adapted and, they were in health tech and they have added telemedicine. Government quickly came with regulations around that, which has been in the works for years, but the current situation forced them to do that. One of our critical advice to our portfolio is to, keep looking at the situation as it evolves, because if I were to be talking to you say 3 weeks back or 4 weeks back, and today the situation is very different, the world is different, and this situation is very dynamic, so it keeps changing. So one has to keep adapting to that. One of the other questions which came is what are the sectors which will be in demand? So like I briefly covered, collaborative tools, infra on the digital side. It could be internet, it could be work from home tools, security, cyber security, then your certain areas in fintech. And for example, lending is today impacted, but there are many other areas in fintech which will be on demand. Gaming and entertainment has seen a huge surge. Whether it will remain in the post-COVID times is to be seen. But I mean, there will be some adaptation as things open up. Similarly, online sports. So many of these areas will be in demand. Even IT services could grow because a lot of this will require companies to do new projects, especially the old world companies also to look at going more and more digital. Some of the sectors which will be badly impacted are certainly, we all know, are travel, tourism, auto, and stuff like that. So there's a contrarian view on auto that with people not ready to share public transport, there could be a surge in auto demand also. So this is briefly from me, and maybe we can then go on to specific points.
Thanks, Manoj. So I'm just preempting. Some questions have come, and some of them who know me have also messaged me. So one question, probably all of you can probably take 2-3 minutes to answer is, people are asking, is there any new data that you are asking in these times from startups besides the business plan? Is there an additional question that you are asking them besides the regular business plan? So during these times, do you think there is something more that they should be presenting in terms of their business? Is there any business continuity sort of thing that they should be presenting?
And Rajesh, these are for new companies, or this is with the portfolio?
These and for portfolio.
Sure, I can sort of take that and give a perspective, right? So I don't think there's a checklist of A, B, C, and then we need an extra now with the situation. I think what's important is to go and look for, do you have a customer, and is the customer willing to sort of subscribe to your service, and is there a larger demand for it? Today, a lot of these businesses have customers evaporating, customers disappearing. So I think all we're looking for in all of our companies is, hey, what is it that you can learn from your customer, get intelligence from them in terms of market learnings, what is it that they're doing. Then we're also asking people to go into second order and third order effects with customers. What issues are customers having? What could potentially displace them? That could essentially displace us. So with the portfolio or with existing investments that already have a market or product in the market, the focus increasingly is on what is the customer telling you, what is the market telling you, what are their needs, are there new needs that you can sort of directionalize your product towards. And I don't think that's very different if it were for a new company, right? I think we'd apply the same yardstick there as well and say, please show customer relevancy, market relevancy, what is the core of the problem you're solving for. At an organization like us, which is investing early on, I think that's sort of very important for us.
Sure, thanks. Anybody else? Padmaja, anything that you're asking in particular?
Yeah, I think some sort of business continuity questions do happen, but I think the focus is really high on the cash flows over the next 2-3 years. How is the revenue coming? How are you going to build the company? How much money do you need? And I think it's good for the companies also to understand this and work it in great detail, because valuations are not going to be what they were a year and a half ago. So it's better for them to bootstrap and be very capital efficient, so they raise less and dilute less. The second piece, I think, is there's going to be a much higher focus. We always had this, but I think there's going to be a much higher focus on the real skills and domain expertise of the founders, because of COVID and because what we have seen in our portfolio, that competent and good entrepreneurs were able to build second lines of business very quickly despite lockdown. So I think that's a new facet that a lot of us, I think it should come up. And the third piece, I think, which is very important, that especially if you're offline and if you're in the B2C kind of a scenario, I think there'll be lots of questions on social distancing, sanitization, hygiene, supply chain, continuity of supply chain. Remember, there is going to be a disruption, if there already is, and I think there will be some level of disruption from China. So, how does the supply chain? What are the risk mitigation factors there? Those are going to be the kind of things that I think will start seeing a place in the diligence.
I can add
Anilji,
yeah, hi.
Hi.
I think just to add to what Padmaja said, I think now anybody raising money, and if we are looking at investing, one thing which we will for sure look at is are they raising enough in different situations to last them for, say, next 24 months? In a situation where revenues are impacted. So that will be critical. Earlier investors were looking at 12 months and things like that. So that will become now 24 months runway kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think tranching will become the norm. Single bullets will not likely to be the common one.
Padmaja, I didn't get that part. If you
I
could
think
repeat
there
that.
will be tranching of the round. The investment amount will be tranched with
Right.
milestones. I think that will become the norm.
Sure. Manoji, anything here?
Yeah, I just made my point. Right?
Yeah, you just mentioned. Anilji, anything here? Are you asking
So
different way?
I think it's a very see we all have same views, will not change except the color of gravy may be different. So right, I
Sure.
think it's a very uncertain time. And see, businesses, for example, if you have low hemoglobin, you need to get blood infusion done, right? But you have to assess yourself that how much is sufficient for you to sail through this entire tough time, right? As rightly said by my co-panelist, I think it's important if you're able to stay intact without raising any single dollar is the most happiest situation. However, not all businesses will have similar luxury. So there could be some businesses who are very promising, but considering current business scenario, for example, the businesses which are serving hospitality, right, especially air travel, or in general travel, or hotel industry, I think will certainly have more challenging times than most of our other peers, right? So given that scenario, I think entrepreneurs should look at raising which allows them to stay afloat, than anything else. As indicated by Padmaja,
Sure.
I think valuation have gone for toss. That there is no sanctity, right? I don't know how to value even listed stocks, which there is no reason for them to be at what they are. We all know it's a tough time, so it's tough to define numbers, right? Some businesses will still get highly valued, but I think 95% of the time you will see correction, and this correction could be quite costly because you are taking money only for survival. So under such scenario, I would suggest raise only what you need to sail through this tough time. Focus on businesses if possible. Your existing tech stack can be used for other product and services. Use that. A very classic example I saw, that I don't know, most of you might have seen a jeweler getting converted into kirana shop, right? So nobody is going to buy jewelry. He has infrastructure. and I don't know whether it's true or not, but if he has done it, you adopted to the situation for temporary reason. So look at what best you can do with your existing infrastructure, and try to run your business during this tough time.
Sure. The other question is again slightly general. For an organization like Startup Mission, is there something they can do? Because besides of course facilitating some of these, is there any particular thing that Startup Mission could do during these days to help their inmates and to help the extended startup ecosystem in Kerala? Again, any of you can answer if you have a.
I think they're doing a fair amount of stuff, having things like this going. I mean, we're all sort of have relationships into a bunch of different other governments or other departments, etc. And I think these guys are doing a fairly good job. It may help to see if they can sort of help channelize access to some of these different channels of money that SIDBI is opening up, which a lot of people on this call are sort of also helping set up through.
Right.
I think a lot of the times advice does a good amount, but nothing like money, so that you have time to go have enough shots on the board. So if there are ways to sort of open up more channels of money specifically to companies in that part of the country, it may be helpful.
Another common question: are all of you soliciting presentations right now? Can all of them? Is there a particular sector you're more interested in, or is it Can any of them approach you? Get your connects from Startup Mission and directly reach you right now? Is there a particular sector which excites you?
I'm okay with people reaching us directly. We just look for companies which are catering to a large market, differentiated products. And yes, obviously the COVID situation has sort of skewed, as I mentioned when I was chatting in some of the sectors, that we would like to have a sharper focus. So those would be for us important, like healthcare, biotech, cybersecurity, agri-tech, fintech, edutech, gaming, online plays, uh, anything that can create new opportunities for Bharat. I think those are clearly new markets, new models. Those would be interesting for us. But we are very happy to reach out. If entrepreneurs reach out, we're happy to talk to them. And I think to your earlier point, Rajesh, is Kerala Startup Mission is doing hell of a lot. Honestly, I rate them probably the highest in the country with the amount of heavy lifting they're doing and the amount of traction they're doing. But in times like this, maybe one thing we could do is with investors like us, maybe just have a group session, bring everybody online so that there could be more entrepreneurs who can come and pitch, have regular pitch sessions, so online pitch sessions so we can connect. The reality is we can't fly down to Kerala, and neither from Kerala can they fly down to any other part of the country. So I think a lot more of this would help, and as the diligence and investment process goes ahead, you know how much there is on paper. I think digitization of diligence information, documents, if they can enable that, create a one-stop shop there, I think that will be very useful, because the reality is it's going to be digital. There's going to be very little offline. So we are facing some challenges there, and maybe Kerala could be the first. Kerala Startup Mission could be the first to actually take it all digital for them. And there will be hand-holding required, I understand, but that could be a big project, and people like you could actually partner with them to help them.
Sure. The others, Vish, Manoj, Anilji.
Yeah, I think we will put out our email IDs. We've got a standard email ID on our website. We respond to all emails that come in, so feel free to write in either to us directly or there. Like I said, I think we don't have a very broad focus. We look at enterprise software, we look at hardware. So if someone is in these businesses, we'll be pleased to engage. we're quite happy to engage with folks who are not raising money as well, because I think this is a relationship building exercise. We don't decide in a meeting in a week. We take our time. So we're quite happy to engage with companies that fall within our sector with the hope to sort of look at partnering subsequently as well.
Sure.
So hey, this is Anil. So I think all our coordinates, are with Kerala Startup Mission. I think
Sure.
they
Sure.
can reach out, for our coordinates. One, secondly, I think there was a query about, the kind of support people expect from Kerala Startup Mission. I think they're doing a great job. One need to be very clear about, what they need, and I think Kerala Startup Mission would be more than happy to help them out for reason, getting coordinates or connects or introduction to mentors, investors. Right. As far as we are concerned, we are a tech focused. Of course, I think with the quantum of investments we have made may sound that we have fairly decent exposure in Kerala. I think we would be investing around 8, 9, 10 companies from point two. We have made one investment, room for many more. So would be happy to keep hearing from entrepreneurs from boardroom friendly, to explore investments. But as said earlier, I think during this uncertain time, raise what you need, for surviving this phase, unless and until your business is quite promising and you can raise as a normal circumstances. I hope it fits.
Right. Uh, so I have one more. I have one question which is coming up in terms of. So there is a focus of online education. Now this is not online education as a venture, but there are entrepreneurs asking what should they study right now. So if they want to study something general in business, and of course it's a very general question, but if there are a couple of areas that they should probably go back to the drawing board and learn, probably build their knowledge, which do you think are areas? I think it's a little general, but if you have a point of view.
So I think any reading is good
Yeah.
reading. You don't have to ask, right? As long as you enjoy, keep reading. But from skill set perspective, I think the new world would be more on digital side. So if people are on non-digital side, I think gaining some skill sets there would certainly help. That is from entrepreneur perspective, and the people are looking to have new job or building new skill sets from job perspective. I think here also, if you can explore on skill sets which sharpens your digital part of offerings, would really help. And this is the best time to get new skill sets acquired. However, I think read what you enjoy. I think that's the best I can tell.
Yeah. Any of you wish, Padmaja, anything, what?
I honestly think, it's such shifting stands right now. There's so much unpredictability. So I think we are reading all the time. I mean, either we are on our laptop or we are on our mobiles. So I think first of all, keeping up with markets, keeping up with the changes, keeping up with compliance, keeping up with new opportunities, keeping up with what is getting, what's happening. I mean, this whole migrant workers moving is an opportunity. So I think.
Right.
There is a lot of reading, there's a lot of data out there. I think the problem is not information, the problem is information overload, and therefore there is a need to discern. So every entrepreneur or everybody who is reading has to really focus on what are the items you want to read, what's your interest areas. I mean, for me, if I'm reading something on nanotechnology, makes zero sense to me. So I think each one has to figure out what we want to follow, what we want to read, and I think it opens up. minds, as Anil said. Reading is always good, but I think there is a need of discerning. Honestly, there's information overload. I get 500 WhatsApp messages when I wake up, and by the time I'm done, there's another 100 and 200. How do you manage?
I think this will depend on each individual. I mean, what they are looking for, what they want to do, and what is their background. If it's from, I understand the question must be from, either starting a venture and stuff like that. Then it all will depend on what you are actually into and what you are looking at. If you are in healthcare, you have to focus in that area. If you are in financial space, you have to focus in, and digital is the way to go. So you have to look at ideas around digital, and learn more about that.
Right. One more question on, again, it's related to the KSUM / Kerala government. Do you think a fund could be created at the state level for looking at some of these working capital / immediate emergency sort of funding situations in startups? Is there a viability to something like that, or is that a good idea that the state should take up?
Rajesh, can I come in on this one? I think honestly, KSM is doing a lot. And on the other hand, there are banks, there are SIDBI, all of them have money in some ways or the other. I think perhaps instead of starting up a new fund, if they could do some subvention of debts that the banks can give, which means that the government in some ways says, okay, to a certain amount, I will underwrite the the debt that the banks are giving, because the banks are open to giving, but they're basically saying, listen, these are very high risk. I will have an NPA on my books, and we all know what NPAs mean and what banks go through. So they want a subvention. So being a government, is there a way that they can partner with central or on their own, do some subvention? Because if they do another fund, which is an equity-based fund, startups are going to dilute much more, right? So basically, startups need working capital and cash flow money. So is there a way that they can partner with banks and sort of at the back end do some subvention or some structure like that, where the banks feel much more comfortable to really lend and deploy? And the second piece is, if they're doing subvention, then they could influence for softer terms in terms of interest, in terms of collateral, in terms of moratorium, all of that. So I think that could be the role as an enabling, but I think Kerala Startup Mission or any government is an enabler. It's not an investor, right? So I think it's enabling role needs to come into play. That's my personal view.
Just to add, Rajesh, there. I think
anyone else on this?
Yeah, Rajesh, just to add, KSIDC and KSFC have been giving some debt to startups.
I'll look at the next. So there is one question. This is consumer product based startup. Is there a possibility to get revenue based funding? And I think the way she explains revenue based funding is, if there is a possibility of getting funds which I can pay during in short intervals of 3 or 6 months, and these funding would directly help me increase sales. So I think that's what they mean by revenue based funding. Is any of you looking at some of these short kind of advances? Of course, they should probably go to a bank, but is any of you looking at any revenue based funding?
We as in for equity funds cannot do that. So this has to be NBFCs, banks, some of the venture debt, depending on the stage the company is. If they are venture funded, they can also go to venture debt. And KSIDC has a program. KSFC might have a program towards that. Which probably Kerala Startup Mission can probably help in designing a program specifically in the current situation, like SIDBI has done with KSIDC. Rajesh, there's
So,
one question.
so there you got.
Rajesh, just to intervene, I think PK
Yeah.
Gopalakrishnan, who is also an investor on IM, he has sent me a message separately to just ask you to ask a question he has put up. Are investors looking at supporting their existing portfolio with short-term cash, angel groups and investors?
Yeah. So if some of you could pick it up. So in fact, I just saw the question. So the
Manoj,
question says.
so Manoj, what's your view? I think we all will share since Gopal PK sent private message to you. We would give privilege to you to answer this question first. I'm sure nobody would mind.
So I mean, we are certainly open to investing, but we, like I just said, we don't do short-term cash infusion. So we are looking, we are open to investing, doing some kind of a interim funding round for startups which really need that, and we are confident that they will be able to sustain the situation. So we are open to that, but we cannot do short-term infusion.
So I'm sure my fellow panelists will also share. But PK, to answer your query, I think there are two kind of investors. One the early investors, mostly family, friends, and angel, and second, let's say institutional or VC investors, right? I think here also there are two part where company is only funded by angels and family friends, and let's say there is no institutional investor. Probably, I think if business is promising, people may look at supporting and may do some kind of funding. Institutional depend life of the fund. If funds are totally deployed, then I think they will not have money to deploy because there are restrictions on funds to invest. But if funds have money, I think they will be more than happy to keep supporting their portfolio companies. That's what most of the people are doing. I don't know if you remember, during my talk I started that we are playing two role. One, the existing portfolio, and second, new investment, right? But to answer your question directly, would we be happy to invest in our existing portfolio company? I think the answer is yes. In fact, we have done in couple of companies and would be more than happy. But our answer is directly related to whether we have ability to invest considering the life of the funds. Our first fund, we are already done with investments, right? We just left with very small allocation, which probably if need be we would be more than happy to invest. But our answer is dependent on our ability to write check. It's nothing to do whether we can or not. I think Padmaja and Vishesh can share more. Manoj can also add.
No, I think
So you would want.
Manoj and Anil have covered it. So from my view, I
Okay.
would.
Agreed.
Sure. So one question on business continuity planning is asking, so suppose I am a startup which is 1 year old. If I want to create a business continuity plan for my business, what are 2-3 things I should include in my BCP? Any of you, if you are asking some of your existing past
Yeah, Rajesh.
investments to
I
prepare.
think Rajesh, we've covered that.
I think we covered, but
Yeah,
just for more
yeah.
clarity, I will just say there are two things. One, let's say, imagine you will not have any business for next 12 months, so you still need
Yeah.
money to survive this phase. So that's one. I think this can be only done by existing investor or family friend. I doubt new investors will look at it, right? Second is that you have business, but considering the payment cycles, you may still find investors investing in appropriately, but this will certainly have ask on valuation considering current situation. Be careful to raise only what you would need during this phase. Don't
Right.
go overboard, right? Everybody is not as lucky as geo, where they can get billions of dollars and at premium. So you have to be very careful.
Right. Again, on the so this is on globalization. So I think this is again a general question, saying that will there be a lot of defocus onto globalization, and will we start looking broadly towards our markets rather than looking at expanding overseas?
Yeah, I'll take that. I think there's been a lot of chatter about this. There's been news about what Japan's been doing and sort of investing in what they're calling onshoring as against sort of relying on other countries. Some of this could be sort of just knee-jerk reaction. Some of this could be planned. Impact of this is not going to be in the short term. It's going to be in the medium to long term, because it's not that simple and easy to move stuff from point A to point B. You need talent, you need people, you need resources, and of course you need capital to back it up. I do think there will be, I mean, just given whatever we're reading on the political channels in different parts of the world, there is going to be stress on internal growth and just collective growth, and hence everybody is going to try and do what's possibly called value onshoring, which is to try and keep core values and core value creating activities within the country, generate employment, generate value within the country. There will be attempts. It may not be possible for us to do it in all sectors. Wherever it is, I think people will do that.
So just to add to that, I was reading today somewhere about digital globalization. So like Vishay said, there'll be a lot of onshoring, and so the physical businesses like manufacturing and all, people will look at onshoring. But when it comes to digital businesses, there will be globalization. I mean, when we are talking about ed tech and fintech and health tech and all, there will be opportunities to globalize much faster. And today, the adaptability, the willingness of people to go digital is much more than it was some time back. Especially, countries like I was mentioning about ed tech infra company. Now they are already receiving a lot of inquiries from. They were only in India, but today they have expanded to Africa, South America, and markets like that. So I see that as an opportunity, digital globalization.
Sure. So that sort of ends the questions that we have. Just to reiterate to all the viewers, I think there has been a lot of messages on the audio not being great. Even I had to come in and out around 5-6 times. So I guess it's the networks in different places, and probably all of you who have further questions, please write to Startup Mission, and there are some email IDs which some of you have given, and we will try to. So since some of you have complained about bad audibility, I'll also try to sum up what was discussed by the speakers, and we will make it available as well. Uh, the connects of, as all of them said, that they are open to receiving ideas and applications for funding, and open to some of these people. So please use this opportunity to reach out to them. Not again, as some of them pointed out, it's not just for the pitches. Even if there are questions, and even if there is a from a mentoring standpoint, also some of them would be glad to sort of help out. We will sort of close. We will sort of close here, but I'll ask all the speakers to probably add their 1 minute or 2 minute in terms of a few pieces of advice for all the entrepreneurs who are listening to you on this broadcast. Anything you want to leave in terms of
all I can say, huge respect. You guys are doing an awesome job, just standing there and fighting it out. Just stay there. Reach out for any help, not necessarily just funding, but anything we can do. We will all come out of this, but we will come out tougher. We will be able to run longer, and I think we will create some awesome businesses. So all I can say, go make it happen and stand there.
Yeah, thank you. Anilji, Vishesh?
I think that's a very positive note to leave with.
Yeah.
Huge respect for you guys, and it's complicated. There are no simple answers. There are no 1, 2, 3 things that's going to get us out of this. I think it's about being progressive and watching out for those leading indicators on both the risk and the reward side, and staying awake.
Yeah. Thank you. The others?
I think I would like to say only one thing: stay safe, stay healthy. We'll have a lot of opportunity to pick up. You know, don't venture out unnecessarily, and just keep exploring. There are a lot of opportunity, for everyone to explore. We all are at ground zero now, so stay safe, stay healthy, and keep your eyes open. Best of luck.
Right. So I think thanks a lot for everyone who's joined on the call. Again, my apologies about some of the audio issues that we had, but I want to call out to the KSUM guys. I think it's amazing work. It's on one to do from this particular call is I will have all four of them again in when we can physically do this, and this is one of my to do for the next 6 months. Once things open up, I'll make sure that all of us are present, and we will speak in, of course, happier times. Stay safe and stay locked down for the time being.
Rajesh,
And KSM guys, thanks. You were saying something, Patmaja?
yeah, that sounds like a threat.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add a point.
Yeah, please.
See, one thing, we have seen that in adversities lies an opportunity too. And as we have seen in the 2008 crisis and 2001, there has been many businesses which started in those times and have gone on to be very big businesses like WhatsApp, Cloudera, Uber, and stuff like that. But I'm sure such opportunities will get created in these times also.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. Ending on a very positive note and wishing all of you the best. Create wealth and happiness for people around you as well. Thanks a lot. Thanks everyone for joining in.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you, K. Plus Startup
Thank you.
Have a nice time. Bye bye.
Thank you all. Thank you, Anilji, Manojji, Vishesh, Padmaja ma'am, and Rajesh sir for your time. Thank you for the participants for being with us. We will be continuing the summit tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. There will be an Ask Me Anything session with Mr. Rajesh Tembla, angel investor and ex-group VP of Just Dial. Please be there at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. You can use the same link for joining the webinar. And please do save your feedbacks on the link shared on the top of the chat box. So we will be sharing it to you on mails as well. Thank you so much for your time and patience. And we are extremely sorry for that audio issues happened in between. We are trying to sort it out also. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.